Invasion is the new PvPvE mode coming to Shatterline in January 2nd. In this mode, 3 Shellguard operators go up against a never seen before strafer known as the Chosen, whose job is to try to stop the Shellguard from taking over his base with the assistance of AI controlled strafer units. Now, I played several hours of this new mode with content creators, friends, and subscribers. So with that said, here are my first impressions of playing Invasion. I started off the first game as the Chosen, and right away you're presented with a new weapon and several abilities I've never seen before. The weapon is called the Shatterline, and it's essentially a shotgun pistol. The spread of it isn't very wide, so it's still usable at long ranges, but it'll take several shots to kill at a long range. At a close range, however, it can be a one-shot, and it's a devastating weapon to go up against. The Chosen's also got 250 health, which makes him a tough-to-kill enemy in a 1v1 gunfight. But there are a handful of things that can kill him with ease, such as the Mongoose Grenade and his ult, the Orbit ult, and many others. Also, melee attacks actually only take 2 hits to kill. So if the Chosen plays overly aggressive, he will be punished thoroughly, making the game very easy for the Shellguard. The Chosen has a permanent invisibility cloak that goes away when he engages, climbs, ziplines, or reloads. He also constantly emits an audio cue that lets the Shellguard know every time he's nearby. I hear it's so loud, the sound kit. He's like right on top of us,
I think so, he's right above.
Then there are his 3 abilities. One is the Pike Grenade, which is essentially like Strix's Crystalline Grenade, except it spawns one of those large shards that the Stilt in PvE usually spawns, and it pulses ever so often, damaging anyone near it. Then he's got a teleporter, which is, well, a teleporter, but the one that stood out to me as the strongest and possibly an overpowered one is the Evasion Warp, which once used, it teleports you back roughly 5 seconds at whatever health and ammunition you had at that time. Essentially, it works similar to the Tracer's ultimate in Overwatch for those that know Overwatch, and I cannot state how crucial this was for me to win games as the Chosen. And as for an ultimate, he gets sort of a crystalline pistol called the Incarnate, and it works much like Kite's ultimate, except it felt like it did more damage and it has an AoE splash damage, but it didn't leave a trail behind like Kite's ult does. However, once the Chosen activates this ult, the game announces it to the entire Shellguard team. The Chosen also gets the assistance of strafer units, and even though the Chosen does not seem to have any control over these units, what he can do is build up sort of a meter through kills and other means, and as this meter builds up, you can use it to spawn a variety of different units at whatever location you choose. Or if you have the meter fully charged up, you can use it to summon the Meteor Strike, which I absolutely loved. Personally, I would love to see Frag Labs go more down this route of giving the Chosen this type of control over the playing field, as it would make Invasion a much more strategic game mode. And then against the PvE AI and the Chosen is of course the 3 Shellguard operators, which work the same as any other game mode, and their goal is to try to capture 2 different objectives, and after doing those 2 different objectives, they move on to the final boss, which spawns randomly either a behemoth, a queen, or a stilt, which personally I felt this needed some work. The queen is by far the toughest boss and it's not even close, whereas the stilt was an extremely easy kill as it only took us about 30 to 40 seconds to kill. Compared to the 4 to 5 minutes it generally took us to kill the queen, then you've got quite the difference, whereas the behemoth lies somewhere in the middle. And one interesting thing is the Shellguard can also grab these canisters which are hidden around the base and deliver them to the objectives to speed it up about 30%, and I found it to be best done when the Chosen had been killed, which by the way, when the Chosen is killed, he takes about 20 seconds or so to respawn every time. But as the Shellguard, you have to be careful if your teammates go down. If your team wipes 4 times, then it's game over, and it's a victory for the Chosen. But if you're able to press on and do all 3 objectives, then the Shellguard win. The matches took roughly about 10 minutes each to complete, and I'd say overall this mode was a really fun mode to play. And I feel like there are so many different routes they can take with Invasion that they could almost turn just this game mode into a game itself with how much potential there is. And as of right now, the game mode is in a very good starting point, and I cannot wait to see how this game is gonna develop and play this on live service with all of you. And so that's it for today. Peace out, guys.